Hi, it's me again. In the last video I talked about school education in Russia. In this video I'll discuss higher education in Russia, whether it's actually necessary, why the older generation is so obsessed with it, and what students themselves think about it. So let's get started. We'll begin with university admission, specifically Unified State Exam, EGE. I briefly mentioned it in the last video, but now I'll explain it in more detail. The EGE is a government exam that all students must take after finishing 11th grade. There are two mandatory subjects, Russian language and basic mathematics. The rest are elective subjects chosen by the student based on the university and program they want to apply to. Each subject is scored out of 100 points. Here's how it works. Unlike school education, higher education in Russia is not free. However, every university has a limited number of government-funded spots, known as budget spots. If a student wants to study for free, they need to score a certain number of points on the EGE. For example, if they want to become a doctor, they have to take 4 subjects: mathematics, Russian, biology, and chemistry. To qualify for a budget spot, they need to score a total of, let's say, 250 points. The number of budget spots varies by university. It could be 100 spots or just 2. This means that the passing score for one university might be 180, while for another it could be as high as 280. Students prepare for the EGE for several years, often spending a lot of money on tutors. But the biggest issue is their mental health. The pressure of the EGE causes anxiety, stress, and in extreme cases, even. Unfortunately, such cases have happened. The reason for this pressure is that the older generation in Russia is obsessed with higher education. For them, if you don't have a degree, you are seen as part of the lower class. That's why children are taught from an early age to study well, so they can pass the Unified State Exam and get into university, which is considered the way to become a respectable person. Fortunately, I didn't take the EGE because I left school after 9th grade and went to a technical college. This is a type of secondary specialized education that doesn't require the EGE. Most of my friends took the EGE and every single one of them says it was the worst time of their lives. They had no weekends, no free time, just studying and more studying. However, if you don't get a high enough score on the EGE to qualify for a free university spot, you can always study on a paid basis. Tuition costs around 250,000 rubles or $3,000 at the time of this video in 2025, which doesn't seem too expensive, but the average salary in Russia is about 50,000 rubles or $600 per month. So many families simply can't afford to pay for their child's education. This means they either have to go to a technical college or enroll in a university with low admission requirements, often not the best universities or programs. Let's say you get into university. Now you have to study for 4 to 6 years, depending on your major. If you got a free spot and maintain good grades, you'll receive a scholarship of about 4,000 rubles or $48 per month, which is extremely low. If you don't have a place to live, the university will provide a dormitory. However, only a few dorms are designed, Most are old Soviet buildings that haven't been renovated in 50 years. The bathroom and showers are shared, and you'll be living with 3 or 4 people in a small room with just beds and nightstands. In many cases, students just gather to drink there, and only a few actually focus on studying. So, if you're coming from another city, I feel really bad for you. At university, instead of lessons, you have pairs, 120-minute lectures, which are much better than 40-minute school lessons. You usually have 3 or 4 pairs per day. Just like in school, there are pointless and boring subjects that don't seem to have any real purpose in the curriculum. Sorry for my English. The academic year is divided into semesters, each lasting half a year, and at the end of each semester you have an exam period. If you skip classes and don't do your assignments, no one will chase after you. You most likely just get expelled. That's why students try not to skip. However, some students have financial difficulties and have to work to support themselves, which can lead to missed classes. Many of them work and study without any days off, which is really tough. I feel sorry for them. At the end of your studies, you write a thesis and defend it. If you pass, you receive a higher education diploma. I also have a diploma, but mine is secondary specialized education. In the next videos, I'll talk about what this diploma is for, how it helps with jobs, and more about technical colleges. That's my story. Yes, maybe I didn't cover everything, but I tried to highlight the most important points. Leave your questions in the comments and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in life in Russia. See you in the next videos.